I'm showing it's 10 a.m. So hopefully the rest of you can join us with your beautiful faces like Chad and Dan and I. It's just that way we know there's that much more involvement going on, and we know that the big key to this thing is that this is about you and what you guys are doing. I come in with a very general agenda, and what we discuss is driven by what you guys report. And if you report nothing, then that tells me something, and we'll address it from that arm. So as we know, every week we want to start out with what's the good news. So who's gonna kick us off this morning? Dan, you're on.
Mr. Hazelleaf got his first FSBO, his first listing, which was a FSBO. He set the appointment, pre-qualified, closed without me there on his first appointment, and it's active right now. So I'm super proud of him. And I told him how excited I was for him to be on the call today and share his success. So I guess I'll turn it over to him now.
Yeah, bring it on.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, Dan really helped me out a lot. I pretty much couldn't have done it without his wisdom and the scripts. The scripts were super important. They pretty much, led me all the way to the close, to the getting the deal signed. So yeah, I appreciate all the help.
So did they fall right over in your lap or what?
Yeah, pretty much. I just followed the scripts and used all the wisdom Dan gave me, and we role played a lot, and that really helped. And yeah, I really appreciate having Dan as my mentor.
Hey, you don't have to keep thanking him. I'll tell you what, Dan's turning out to be one of the best in a lot of different ways, and so I get it, and I've told him so. But what you'll want to do is just keep following the wisdom, because the key is you're making calls, you're going through the pain, and if you go through the pain enough, you end up with success. And so that's what you've got. And we're going to roll and see who else has got more good news. Michael, take us on, man. Tell us what's up.
Hello, Darwin. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I can't turn the camera on just now. I'm at home, but I have two good news. I closed the deal last week, and I got an offer accepted this week.
That's great. That's great, bud. What's source on yours?
Sphere of Influence, the first one and the second one.
Awesome. And it's what I tell everyone. It's just the most likely place for you to be able to get your business, and it is the rock upon which you will build your business. So if we haven't talked to all of them, Michael knows that's where the business is. We start there. You just got to suck it up and call everybody. I don't know what better way to be able to put it. That's just the way it's got to work. And if you do that, everything will fall into place. So that's awesome. Who else? Good news. Give us those shares. I don't want to hear from my mentors. So who's out there? Mentee. Peyton, you got something?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Go, bud.
Sorry, I'm on the road, but I'll share my good news. Is I have buyers that are looking for vacant land, and they're really interested in HOA. This is kind of good and bad news, so I could also use some help on this. So they do want to write an offer on this property. It has lake access, not lakefront, but lake access, and that's a big key to it. But the HOA is pretty restrictive, so I kind of advise them that we should really get, because they're looking to build, we should really get their blueprints to send it in so we can get their blueprints approved prior, so we can make it a contingency saying that our offer is if we can get the blueprints approved, because obviously if they buy it and their blueprints aren't approved after that, then they're kind of screwed. So but they're taking forever. And I don't know if it's them or their architect, but they're taking a really long time to get their blueprints written up. They just changed architects because they didn't like the original one that they went with. But they're taking a while. That was about a week and a half ago that they told me that they're changing architects, but I could also use some wisdom on that, on how to maybe without seeming rude, get it in their eyes that, hey, we like this property, but we have to understand that there's also maybe other buyers who like this property too.
Awesome, awesome. And the big key to remember, we know, and great job, by the way, Peyton, you're absolutely right. That's what we want to do. The buyer is our buyer. I'm going to assume you represent them. And as such, our job is to guide and advise and make sure that they're not going to end up with something they can't do what they wanted to do. So to put in that clause that gives them the time for due diligence would be very, very important. I believe that in, let's see, Peyton, are you part of to where you use Remind Docs?
We use Transaction Desk.
Okay, all right. Remind me or check to see if there is a, what did I call it? A vacant land addendum, something of that nature with vacant land. That's a clause that you could potentially want to use in the purchase agreement. Obviously, you know, make sure you work with your mentor and your manager on that. But it's basically, it's leave it wide open for them for probably about 30 days. Leave it open for about 30 days, sometimes longer, depending upon what, as an example, what you brought up. If they want to get their floor plans approved, or gee, if it's got to go through an HOA, well, that's sometimes just going to drag it out even further. So that would be an important one. But I like that one. Good report. So I got a number of mentors out there. So I'm not really looking to hear from the mentors at this point, but who else has got some good news, some things that have happened for you in the past 2 weeks? Anyone?
I got
Anyone else?
hello.
Oh,
Can
go.
you?
Yep, go, Kenyana.
Yes, I have 2 buyer clients that are in the process of purchasing. We're looking now, and another listing client that should be signing this week.
Kenyana, that's awesome, because I know that's what you've really been pushing for. What do you think the secret is to having all those now?
Keep talking, keep asking.
Yep, and you know, Kenyana knows a lot of people, and I'd say she gets a captive audience. But you know, that's one of the big things that we've been talking about. And if you've gone through the School of Hard Knocks, you know the success that we had from that. And guys, what I can tell you was within 4 hours of prospecting in there, 70 appointments were set by 45 people. 25 listings in 2 weeks were taken, with them going on 56 appointments. Most were sphere of influence, but we can't cut out the for sale by owners or the expireds or the withdrawals. The key is, and Kenyana, thank you for saying that, it's talking to people. And as Michael is learning, and what he's got his 2 deals now from, sphere of influence. If you haven't talked with them, you got to talk with them. Adriana, knowing that you and I talked that little bit last week, yours might be a good story. Are you in a position where you can talk, or are you and listen only? Sounds like you might have a bad connection. Well, let me share what Adriana and I, yeah, okay. So let me share what Adriana and I were had a conversation about, because for her, she's been at this for a little bit and she's trying to transition from another career, a boss and that kind of kicked things in a slow down mode. And now she's in a little bit different position to where she's got some more time. And the one thing that she knows is, you know, we always say, talk to people. And she's been here for a short time, so she doesn't have a huge sphere of influence, but it's, maybe somebody could respond to Montoya in that chat session, because if I speak to her, she's not going to hear. So anyway, what Adriana ran into is, okay, I've got people I can talk to, my kids, and you know, all of the extracurricular activities that go on, but how do I get these people to talk to me about real estate? Or how do I go from just having a conversation over to a conversation about real estate? So let's open that up, because I don't want to just spill the beans. So mentors, you can jump in with this. How do we transition just a casual conversation with the parents of our kids, friends at these events, to where we go from casual conversation to where we get a real estate conversation? Who wants to jump in and share that? Really? Hold on, Dan. Michael's got his hand up. We'll let him go. I appreciate you, man. Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you, Darwin. I have just, you know, when we talk about family, business, and life and everything, that's where you can make the transition. But I think you also need to be knowledgeable of what's going on. So you can keep the conversation going and at least seem interesting, and also find an opportunity for your people. And this is for the sphere of influence I'm talking about.
Right. Yes. So a real key is know the market. When you can start quoting where the market's at, that listings are down, and I got to tell you, it's funny because I haven't focused on it lately, but if it's down 16.9%, and not almost 17, but 16.9, when you can give them the point, your credibility goes way up. So knowing the market is something that's very credible. I guess the question becomes, how do I transition? How do I get them? One of two things. How do I get them to bring up real estate so that we can talk about it? Or two, what can I do to get them, or for me to transition into the conversation of real estate? So Dan, go ahead and jump in, bud.
I think Michael summed it up nicely. There's not a whole lot for me to add to it. So it's just talking to them and look for those opportunities to either interject your work or ask about their work.
Right there. That's a key. In the point of having conversation, have a conversation. The aspect of God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Therefore, do twice as much listening as you do speaking. If you're doing all the talking, you're not interested in them. Ask them questions. And one of the things that you can always ask is, hey, how's work going? It could be that you've just met someone. So what do you do for a living? Oh, wow, you're an engineer. Great. Where are you at? How long you done that? What do you like most about doing it? How did you get into it? Have a general conversation. And look, after a while, what are they going to ask you? What do you do? Now, is there anything that we can do? What's the word, without giving you the answer? All right. What, is there anything that we can wear?
That's what I said.
Come on, you
A
guys. Is there
realtor
any-
pen.
Yeah, how about the
realtor
Realtor R? How about a name badge? Yeah. Michael, you're absolutely right. You might want to consider a suit and tie. But the key is, if you look around, and by the way, here, I'm guilty. I'm playing secret agent right now. Martha, you're smiling. Are you playing secret agent too? Oh, there it is. There it is. See, guys, that's the key, because Martha, wherever she goes and sees people, she'd actually be prospecting. We got to keep things simple. That name badge in her case says Coldwell Banker. You know, if Jerome's out there, and by the way, Jerome always looks like $1 million. There's no doubt that man's a professional. And when you talk to him, he's a professional. But Jerome's real good about making sure, like, Jerome is still one who likes the mask, and he wears one that has the C21 logo on it. I see that more often than not. That is a point of promotion. If it's the Realtor R, if it's, again, your name badge, if you've got career apparel, you're out at the kids' game and you got a ball cap on that has the logo on it. All of those things are things that if you'll simply smile and be approachable, people will talk to you and you don't even have to start the conversation. So, you know, I'm looking at Adriana's picture. What a great picture. Adriana is somebody that would be approachable if she's like that. But if we get to this, not likely people are going to want to talk to me, right? So wear the smile on your face, be approachable. Don't do this, because who's going to want to talk to you? So your body language is a huge importance also. But I hope, Adriana, I know that you got a lot of ideas and tips out of our basic conversation. And let me share one other thing, because I was afraid that I was probably pushing Adriana to the ledge. Because the point of how do I do this, if you have a concern about talking to your sphere of influence or somebody that you just met and you're going, how do I bring up the subject of real estate? Probably the number one thing that you need to do, change your mindset. See, if that's troubling you, more than likely, you see yourself being an imposition upon them, that you're imposing upon, that it's not you helping them, but them helping you. And therefore you feel like you're being here, let's do a quick exercise. Everybody take themselves off of mute for a second here. Everybody take themselves off, and I'm going to ask you to just reply very, very quickly. Here's the question, but you guys, actually, I'm just going to finish this statement. You ready? Most people think that most salespeople are
Sleazy.
Pushy.
Yeah, no, see, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty certain that there was no positives in there. Right? And typically the way that we thought right there is the way that we think about ourselves, because what do we know we are really? We are salespeople. It's what we do. And the problem is we don't know our product. So let me ask you this. What is it we sell?
Service.
Dan just had it. It's us. Right, Jerome? It's a service that we provide. It's us You are your product. You do realize you don't sell real estate. You provide the service of selling real estate. If you didn't exist, it wouldn't exist, or somebody else would be providing that service, but it's they themselves that they're actually selling. It's what they do. If you don't believe in yourself, then we need that additional education to build the confidence. All right. So that's the big key. And I love that we're on here and we're doing this today. So change your mindset. When you're talking to these people, it's not about you. It's about them. And you'll have difficulty asking the questions that you need answers to help them until you understand that it's about them. It's not about you. And by the way, the best part was with like Adriana on our conversation. If you're thinking that way, guys, you don't want it about you. You should easily switch over to it's about them. You are already with the proper mentality because you don't want to make it about you. So make it about them and understand by yourself, you already believe it's about them. Just take care of them. You know, here's the quick scenario because everybody does this. Somebody goes, oh, I'm not feeling well. And I say it the motherly part, dad's sorry, but the motherly part of us, we start going, oh, well, what are you feeling? Well, it's like this pressure up here and you go, oh, no kidding. Well, where is it all over? Is it? And you start asking all these questions as if you're really going to be able to fix it for them. Well, that's what we do with real estate. They go, you know what? I'm hurting. Fix it. Who better than you? And if you don't believe that yet, get yourself more education. Build your confidence. Find out what's going in on the market. Real Comp, My Real Source, all of them send out data as to what's going on in the marketplace. We're going, oh my God, but the interest rates are almost 7%. That's better than double where they were at the first of the year. Great. Do we really see that the market sale prices are going to fall? Should we really hold off because interest rates are high? What's the phrase, what you should be doing right now? Anybody heard it? Remember it? Got a great phrase? Marry the home, date the rate. They should marry the home and date the rate, because they even have mortgage programs where I won't call it a buy down, but you can get it to where it's, I forget, 2% below for the first year, something of this nature. I mean, talk with your mortgage people. We don't have to be the mortgage experts. We got to know enough to be able to raise questions and guide people and say, you know, there's a way that we can get you down to a lower payment for the first year or two. Because how many of us believe that the interest rates are going to continue to climb and not drop back down? Right? I think I'll tell you what I've been hearing, by the way. Yes, I think you can probably expect one more increase, but it's only going to be able to go so far. Good Lord knows that we don't want Jimmy Carter days back. Yeah, if you're old enough, that was 17, 18%. And when I started in 1987, it was 13%. Maybe we might be able to, what we did was called buy down the interest rate to 9%, which those programs are out there too. But the reason the one I just described to you is probably popular is because most believe that the interest rates will begin to fall again. And so why buy down an interest rate where you're not going to be in that loan for 15 to 30 years? You're going to end up refinancing. So yeah, and Caroline just hit it. You know, we can always look to buy down the interest rates or look at this particular program, but just talk with your mortgage people. So hopefully that was one that addressed one of the key issues, is how do I transition to talk to my sphere of influence? Anybody got anything to add to that particular subject? No one? All right. So let's do this, because that was the, okay, I need help with, and guys, don't wait for me to show up in your office to where it worked out for Adriana and I to be able to talk like that. Let's talk right now. So we know what we should be doing. We know what we need to be doing. What do you need help with? Give us a topic. Let's go to the basics then. How many of you are getting in a minimum of 5 contacts per hour for a minimum of 2 hours? Better yet, are all of you doing that? Chad, I love it. I know that you got part of the triple team there, and you get into those call nights and you're having great success with that. Matter of fact, Chad, if you would you share what you guys are doing and the type of success that you're having?
Basically, we have call hours every Tuesday and Thursday from 1 to 3. Dan and I have our own call hours when we have our meetings, our weekly mentor-mentee meetings. So we do that too. I pretty much stay in contact with my sphere a lot, you know, whether that's calling or messaging on Facebook, just trying to spread the word, you know.
And when you guys jump on the phone, how many appointments do you set between the three of you?
Probably what, like 4 or 5, just about every time we sit down and have like a 2-hour call session.
Wait. So 3 of you jump on the phones for a couple of hours and you'll set 4, 5, or 6 appointments in those 2 hours.
Yep.
But wait a minute. You're telling me you call for an hour and you're setting an appointment basically.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I knew the answer to that, but let's emphasize that if we'll simply talk to people. And Chad, who are you guys talking to during that time period?
Mostly FSBOs.
Wow. Maybe it's who's calling. So, I mean, we know you've been in the business for what, 5 years?
No, 5 months.
So, well, wait a minute. Who else is calling?
Dan calls with us. Sometimes Rachel sits in. Usually just Dan and I.
Rachel's only a year, isn't she?
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, and Dan, if we talk about it, you really just kicked in about a year ago to really go, okay, now it's time to get serious, right? So guys, I want to point that out, because this is not a Larry Brazis who's been in it for 50 years. Sorry, buddy, I just had to throw that out. Or Larry, who's a mentor and has established his business, has been working a sphere of influence, has got things up and running. We're talking 3 individuals who jump on a phone and call a bunch of individuals they don't even know. And they're having that kind of success. So that's a key. So if you're not talking to people, and this is the part where you guys should, this hour is only as good as your participation. But if you're not talking to about, I'm going to say here, let's just say it's 5 people a day. 5. Doesn't matter what you do. You can run into 5 people and have 5 real estate conversations. Even if you're working a full-time dual career job, if you're on this call and you're in that situation, you can talk to 5 people a day. It might be while you're getting a fill up with your gas tank and spending $300. Okay, not that much, but you can have a conversation with 5 people right then at that time period. You just got to become the salesperson. You know, suck it up. It's what we do. Here's an opportunity to talk to people. Go do it. Okay. So guys, but we'll hit a different subject, but it starts with that. If we're not doing that, let me be really have a fierce conversation here. If you're not talking to 5 people a day minimum, you aren't in the real estate business. If you're not having 5 conversations a day, real estate conversations, you are not in the real estate business. I mean, I'm not calling people names, but you're not much more than a licensee. I mean, come on, guys, really. 40 hours, a couple $100, pass an exam. Congratulations, you're a licensee. You're not a realtor until you really start learning how to do the business. Talk to people, talk to people. Let's shift gears, because here becomes the next issue. Okay, I'm setting appointments. Now, let me ask you this. Are we making contacts and getting appointments? Or is that part of the struggle? And this is where you guys got to share with me. Guys, I'm going to bore you if you don't participate.
I
And
will
Chad
say,
and Dan talk too much. Kenyatta, thank you.
I will say, nailing the appointment is kind of difficult, making sure that, you know, you can meet with them and sit down and talk to them about what you can offer them.
Cool. Ariel, great. That's part of my struggle where I'm reaching out, but haven't got any appointments out of it so far. Okay, let's talk about that. If people know that they're going to sell, or they know that they are going to buy, they know, and they know they're going to use a realtor, what do they do? Yeah, hey, Peyton. Yes, they're gonna call you and say, come on over. Oh, nope, they won't, because you haven't talked to them. Those are easy ones, guys. If you talk to them in advance, those are the kind that you want. Your calls all the way through are trying to find the people so that they know that you're in the real estate business, so that when they know they're going to make a move and they know they're going to hire a realtor, that they call you. And hopefully you've done such a great job that they're not calling and talking to anybody else. Okay. What we're really doing is talking with a whole lot of people who are going to be thinking about making a move. So that's the individual we want to talk about. When I'm having these conversations like the one that we started out talking about, where it's just, hey, how's real estate? Or, you know, gee, I sell real estate and it's a really interesting market right now. But the one thing that we're looking for still is inventory, people who are serious about making a move. Who do you know? And people will tell us about people who are thinking about it, or they say, well, you know, we're thinking maybe in the spring. Well, how do you take and convert that to an appointment now? Well, what did they say? We're thinking about the spring. They may say, well, no, it's not going to be for another 6 months. Well, no, It really just depends on whether or not a transfer comes through from, for Cheryl. Right? It's not a, I'm going to move. So write this down. It's going to be a reminder for all of you. Closing is a process, not a point in time. There is the process, and here it is. Write it down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? I can tell because you'd be looking at your paper. 1, ask questions. And if you think this is too simple, then tell me what the rest are. Dan, you can't play. Number 2, you asked questions, find the problem. It doesn't seem sense that I'd even tell you this is a step. But if you don't understand that the reason you're asking the questions is to, number 2, find the problem, then you don't know why you're asking questions, and therefore you don't ask very good questions. So number 1, ask questions. To number 2, identify the problem, the situation, the issues, the needs, the wants, the desires. What are the missing information that they're only thinking of moving? So when I identify the problem, step 3, offer a solution or service that will fix the problem. By the way, when you're really into a mode of helping people, this is a very natural process. So number 1, I ask questions. To number 2, find the problem. So I can, number 3, offer a solution, which at that point, I need to get together with you, close for the appointment, close for the signature, close for a decision. That's number 4. Until you can tell me that, until you can teach someone else that, you're not likely to do it. So you want to be a professional salesperson and be able to get people to agree to an appointment, grasp and understand and be able to do that process that I just gave to you. So ask the questions to find the problem so you can offer the solution, which actually gives you the right to close, to ask for a decision. So when we're prospecting, who'd role play? Who's been making calls and struggling? Adriana and I did this last week. Anyone? Volunteers? Who can do it? Hey, Robert, you're on camera. It looks like you can play. Can you do that?
Yeah, I can give him my best shot. I gotta admit though, I'm horrible at making calls. It's just one of those fears, everybody. And I actually wanted to make it the Hard Knocks so that way I could get over that, but didn't quite make it down there.
You know, and so the big key is feel the fear and do it anyway. You and Adriana ought to talk to each other and do some role plays, because I mean, she's got similar, matter of fact, thank you for confessing, right? It's almost like we're at AA. Hi, my name is Robert from Owasso, and I don't make calls. But it starts there, and we know we need to do it, but we've got to become so comfortable at it that it just becomes simple for us. So I'll tell you what, you play my friend, and I'll call you up. Okay. And so here we go. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Robert. Darwin.
Hey, Darwin, what's going on?
Well, I wish I could say a lot, but you know, it's been a while since we talked, but you know, I'm still doing real estate.
Oh yeah? Why are you doing that?
Yeah. So sometimes I wonder, my friend, sometimes I wonder. No, I did. I wanted to catch up. You know, how's everything going for you?
Oh, pretty good. Just you know, just sold the house over in 5 asking.
Wait,
No, oh,
you mean
that's
you're
right.
in
I'm
real
in
estate
Trenton.
too now?
Oh, I was just
Awesome.
thinking
Well, hey,
about, I was just thinking about selling.
were you?
Yeah.
You just made it too easy for me.
Ha.
But let's keep going with this. So you said you're thinking about selling? What's going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah. You know, I don't know. I'm just kind of, I was thinking about maybe doing some kind of student teaching in another city here, and I just haven't quite decided if we're
I
gonna move or
gotcha.
not. But you know, we don't have to move. We could stay here, but
Right. So looking at the teaching thing, I mean, is that what would be whether or not you sell, or is there information you need to be able to make a decision as to whether or not to do that?
well, I don't know. I heard the prices are coming down, interest rates going up. I don't know. It doesn't really sound like a good time to sell.
Yeah. Well, I think a key part is it sounds like you kind of need to know that is to help you make a decision as to whether or not to go do the teaching in a different area, right?
Yeah.
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 And you know, by the way, I'm sitting back and thinking, if let's say the prices were falling here, do you think they'd probably be falling wherever you're going to?
Yeah, I guess I didn't really think about that.
Yeah, no, you know, I got to tell you, having been in this business for the time I have, I can tell you, most people haven't ever actually thought about that. So if it's falling here, it's probably falling wherever you're at. So anything that you might lose here, guess what? You're gaining on the other side.
Yeah, that's
Why don't we do this? Let's do this. Robert, let's go ahead and get together. Let's take a look at the market. Let me pull some statistics, find out where we're at, but more importantly, what you'd end up walking away with the sale of the home, should you decide to make the move. And if you have that information, it might actually help you make that decision as to whether or not to go ahead and apply for these other positions.
huh. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Sounds good to me.
All right, you want to do that on Monday, or is Tuesday better?
Tuesday.
Tuesday's good, 4 o'clock.
Okay, so yeah.
Hey, I'm going to send you over a package of information, by the way, just to remind you everything and let you know just a quick preview of the different things, comparables for your home and so on.
Okay. Sounds
All
good.
right, bud. Well, listen, anything else?
If there is, I'll shoot you a text or something.
All right, man. Take care.
Okay, bye.
I almost thought I was on my phone. That was really but guys, I hope what you caught was there was number one. What's going on? What's got you thinking about? Well, would it help you if? Yes, I provided some information, but it was still a question. Well, if you ever considered it, if the market is going down here, what's the market doing where you're going to? I could have told him that. But people are pretty intelligent. If you ask the right questions, they'll know the right answers. So I asked the questions, found the problem, right? Now we got to realize what the problem is and what's holding him back from being able to make a decision that he's only, quote unquote, thinking about it. But once I identified those, then I provided the service, the solution to the problem of only thinking, because he's missing information. And then, yeah, Dan just put it in the chat room. If I could, would you? It's one to remember. If I could do this, would you? I didn't have to use that because right now I'm not worried about Robert listing with me. I'm worried about helping Robert make a decision as to whether or not to move. And in reality, it's about applying for these other positions in this scenario. I'm just helping him. That's a friend helping a friend. Right? And it was interesting, but you'd be surprised at how often what happened with him and what he did with, hey, how's real estate? Because they know that you're in the business. And don't be afraid to do this if you haven't talked to somebody yet, and let them know, hey, I'm calling for a couple of reasons. One, I want to catch up. It's been a while. How's your wife? Oh, no kidding. Wow. Well, is she still? No, what about you? Where are you at?
What's
So
your,
you are still over it. Go ahead, Lori.
oh, I'm sorry. Just talking to
Oh.
someone else, excuse me.
You're multitasking. I get that. That's the way we are as mentors and managers. The key is let it come up and just then transition over. Well, the other reason I was calling is because I wanted to talk real estate. Maybe it's, hey, well, I had, as I mentioned, I was calling for a couple of reasons. Would it be okay if I talk to you about real estate? Would it be okay if I talk to you about what I'm doing right now? If they don't already ask after you start catching up with, are you still over at? What are you doing now? More often than not, the conversation comes right back to what you started with in regards to the what's your area of employment. By the way, appointment set. What's the next thing that I would do?
Happy dance.
I know, truth. Hey,
Celebrate the win.
happy dance, right? I could do this. I could say,
Pre-qualify, yeah.
make another
Montoya said it.
call. What was it? What did you say, Montoya?
I said pre-qualify to make sure, because that's how my listing appointment fell through.
Touchdown. And now, by the way, Montoya, you said that's how the listing appointment fell through.
Yeah, that one that I
Tell us about that.
did during the listing appointment or the listing school. He just was a no-show pretty much. But I did the pre-qualifications and the pre-qualified script. And one of the things that caught my attention is when I asked him how much he owed on the house, it was like a slight pause. And yeah, so I mean, I did everything right. I fell to the appointment, but that was just the thing that I was joking about, pre-qualify next.
You're absolutely right. And of course, there was actually on the call when I finished what really would come next, the next task you'd have to do. It was, hey, Robert, I'm going to send you
A package,
some information. What do we call that?
pre-listing packet.
That's it, Chad. That's it. Guys, you really do need to know the process this well, that it's pre-listing package goes out next. The morning of the appointment, we call and remind them that we're on at 4 o'clock. And then we go through the rest of the pre-qualifying script. And, you know, the key is to that pre-qualifying script. Let's not waste time with people who aren't serious about selling, who won't be there if we don't pre-qualify. And don't use well, I'm brand new, I have time to go on it. No, I like Montoya is a full-time job. Many of you have full-time positions. You don't have time to work with people that aren't serious about selling or people that are serious about buying. So pre-qualifying is a real key. So set the appointment, send a pre-listing package, pre-qualify. And I'm thinking that our next call, if you guys remind me, I think pre-qualifying is probably something that we ought to put in as our educational piece for our next call in 2 weeks. Okay. Now, I send out these reminders, but does everybody have 2 weeks from today in their calendar already? Okay, if you have a digital calendar, it should just automatically be in there. Mentors, I would ask you to check your mentees and make sure that they have these calls in, because it just repeats, because we've got it set so that it's every other Tuesday. It should just automatically be in their calendars. And we'll talk more about that. Guys, I know it's a little bit early, but let me open up and just say, what else do you have? What do you need? Some guidance, some help? And please don't be afraid to ask, because you're not going to be the only one who's wondering. Silence.
I'm can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good, Peyton. Go ahead.
Okay. Just as another way for me to reach out to my sphere and really like engage with them, my mentor and I sat down in our meeting last week, and we kind of decided that I could do like a Facebook message marketing campaign sort of thing. So I can be sort of like maybe quarterly, so it's not too often to the point where I'm like a burden on somebody and they just skip over it every single time I send it, but making it quarterly, so maybe like if even like 20% of them read it, then that's a good thing, you know what I mean? So give a little market update and like really share my expertise in that, and then maybe also some things that are like personal to me, that because it's my sphere, they know me and I know them, so they know what I like. And so like maybe I could like hit on sports, because I'm a sports guy, or I can hit on like maybe the holidays or seasonal, and then also like at the end of those messages maybe throw in like a little like if it's a springtime, say like, oh, this is like the perfect time to spruce up your house if you're looking to maybe sell in the future in the summer or something like that. What do you think about something like that?
I'll tell you what it reminds me of. And really, you bring up with what we did yesterday on the Lunch and Learn with the Power of Why. You brought up business planning, essentially, our 2023. And everybody, I hope if you are dual career currently, that you've got, is it Martha, November 10th is Ignite? Am I remembering correctly off the top of my head? I hope that you put November 10th, or you take that day off. Submit for it now if you are dual career, and then make sure that you're signed up and you're there that day. But we're into that phase where we've got to look at, how am I doing my business? So, Peyton, to address your question and your thoughts there, I love it. We just want to do it with a plan and understand why we're doing it. So just make a note of 4/4/12/365. That is the simplest plan that I can give you for working your sphere of influence. So you've got basically a plan, a portion of that plan, but it would be this. The first 4 is talk to them 4 times per year. Talk to them 4 times per year. Talk to them. That means I've engaged them in conversation. And I could almost just live with that. But we want to talk real estate. So obviously you're calling for a couple of reasons. You want to catch up, and how's real estate? Make sure you talk to them 4 times per year. Second 4, send them something using snail mail 4 times per year. We want to give them a physical piece. Okay, this gets mailed to them. The next one is really 12/24. You want 12 to 24 electronic communications. 12 to 24. It could be Happy St. Patty's Day that they get in an email. Okay. It could be every one of the holidays, and that's easy to pretty much, you can find a holiday throughout the entire year, every month. Okay. But we say 12 to 24. Make sure that that's something that they would be interested in. It could be humorous, whatever. Yeah, Caroline, I like that. What's most important to you that your mentors can give you help or support in? And bring that to them. And then I love that, really, because Caroline, you're right on. Bring that to what you can get here. But it hit me with this. Send information that would be important to them. Want to have a great communication? Send them something that would be important to them. So 4/4/12/24, 365 social media. So we've got core listing out there, but better yet, we've got Bob DeVore, who's just wonderful and conscientious in regards to what he gives you. Bob's out testing all the stuff all the time to see how it works, what it does, what's the results before he shares. And one of those is just blogging. Blogging is an easy thing to do. But again, we got Core Listing Machine right now that will do that for you. But you cannot rely upon that by itself. Your personal interactions with Facebook and other people on it are huge. So this is your simple plan. And if you expand upon it for your sphere of influence, wonderful. But as a minimum, 4 personal engagements, 4 by snail mail, the 12/24 electronic, email, and the last is a 365, so that for the entire year, you're staying in touch with them on a daily basis, just your face and real estate coming up in front of them. And by the way, when I say your face, it doesn't need to be tied to real estate. They'll know when you're talking to them 4 times per year. But I will share with you, and you've heard me say it, if you aren't talking to them, somebody else is. You want the business, or do you want to give it to somebody else? So, Robert, you said, I'm not good at making those phone calls. You know what? Baby steps. Just take one. Man, if you can get one in, what I would encourage you to do is to make at least 2. And oh, by the way, when you disconnect with someone, don't put this down. And if you're using one of these, hang on to it. Do not put them down. Dial the number with the other hand. You just made one call. And by the way, real quick, guys, this is not for me. It's not for your mentor, your manager. This is for you. Now, what is a contact? Somebody, if you would, real quick, tell me what a contact is.
When you reach a live person on the phone.
Thank you, Jerome. So everybody understand, a contact is not an attempt. A contact is, I had a conversation. Okay, I engaged someone in conversation. So this was one that I got. Guys, put some thought into this. This is your plan. If you did School of Hard Knocks, you did the goal projector. You know what you should be doing, but I want you to hear this. This person was only going to work 2 days, and I'm okay with that. They were going to prospect for 6 hours. I'm okay with that. But if you work prospecting for 6 hours, how many people should you be able to talk to? Anybody?
20, 30.
20, I'm good with that. Look, I think you need to shoot for 5 per hour. So if you prospect for 6, shoot for 5 per hour. Okay, so this individual gave me, I'm trying to do it so the name doesn't show up, 5. But look at the leads generated. How on God's green earth do you talk to 5 people and generate 10 to 15 leads? Are you with me? Guys, use some logic when you're working with your mentor. Mentors, make sure you look at it and see that they're actually doing something that's logical and makes sense. Otherwise, that's a waste of all of your time because it meant nothing. You put some numbers on a page, great. I can turn it in, send it over. Darwin gets it. Make sure it's logical because it's your plan. It's your business. And how long will we go not making any money before we finally realize that we don't want to do this business? Okay. So, you know, you got to talk to people. Let's go do that. We got 2 weeks. Any questions before we go? Don't wait. If you ever need me, get some form of communication to me. In the meantime, guys, have a great week. We're going to see you next week on Hot Topic Tuesday. We are going to do lease with option to purchase. So it'll be a quick 30-minute call on how to handle someone when they talk about lease with option to purchase. You'll understand all of what it is, how it works, and we should even be able to give you all the stuff you need to be able to do it if it comes up.
Thanks for
Have
the
a great
session.
week.